The conflict in the Middle East has entered a volatile new phase, with Israel facing simultaneous pressure from multiple directions, while the United States signals that its involvement in the broader war against Iran could soon come to an end. In recent days, fresh attacks have emerged from both the north and the south, raising serious questions about whether Israel's defense systems are being stretched across too many fronts at once. The escalation comes amid an already intense regional war that began in early 2026 following coordinated U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran, which triggered a chain of retaliatory actions across the region. The latest developments suggest that Israel is no longer dealing with isolated threats, but rather a coordinated multi-front escalation. From Yemen, the Houthis, who officially entered the war only days ago, have launched ballistic missiles toward Israeli territory, marking a significant expansion of the conflict. At the same time, Hezbollah has intensified its operations from Lebanon, firing rockets and deploying drones across the northern border. These attacks have triggered warning sirens in multiple Israeli cities, forcing civilians into shelters once again. This dual front pressure has heightened fears that Israel could be drawn into a prolonged regional confrontation where threats are no longer confined to a single battlefield. According to reports, a ballistic missile launched from Yemen was intercepted by Israeli defense systems before reaching its intended target. The missile was reportedly aimed at southern Israel, an area that has already faced repeated attacks since the Houthis entered the war. Although no casualties were reported, the psychological impact remains significant. Air raid sirens echoed across southern communities, reinforcing the sense of constant threat. Meanwhile, in northern Israel, additional sirens were activated as Hezbollah carried out fresh strikes using rockets and drones. These attacks were not isolated incidents, but part of a continuing pattern of cross-border escalation. The situation illustrates how the war has evolved from a bilateral confrontation into a broader regional conflict involving multiple actors aligned with Iran. In a notable tactical development, Hezbollah successfully shot down an Israeli military drone over southern Lebanon. The drone was reportedly supporting Israeli ground operations when it was targeted by a surface-to-air missile, highlighting Hezbollah's ability to challenge Israeli air superiority. Despite the loss, Israeli officials have stated that there is no risk of sensitive information being compromised, and an investigation into the incident has been launched. Still, the event underscores a broader concern that Israel's adversaries are not only coordinating attacks, but also demonstrating increasingly sophisticated capabilities. The broader context of these developments cannot be ignored. The ongoing war between the United States, Israel, and Iran has already disrupted global energy markets and triggered widespread instability. Iran's decision to effectively block the Strait of Hormuz, a critical oil shipping route, has had severe global consequences, affecting a significant portion of the world's oil supply. This has led to a dramatic drop in maritime traffic and increased fears of a prolonged economic crisis if the situation remains unresolved. At the same time, Iran-backed groups across the region, including Hezbollah and the Houthis, have stepped up their involvement, turning what was once a localized conflict into a multi-theater war. Amid these escalating tensions, U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that the conflict may be nearing its conclusion, indicating that the United States could withdraw from the war within a matter of weeks. I think with 2 or 3 weeks, about 3 weeks if it is, we'll leave because there's no reason for us to do this, he said. His remarks align with growing indications that the U.S. military campaign against Iran may wind down soon, with officials signaling that major objectives have largely been achieved. However, he also made it clear that the United States does not intend to take responsibility for securing the Strait of Hormuz once it exits the conflict. The Strait of Hormuz has become a central point of contention in the war. Despite its strategic importance, the U.S. position now suggests that responsibility for securing the waterway should fall to countries that depend on it for energy supplies. This marks a notable shift in policy, signaling a move away from long-term military commitments in the region. In one of the most controversial parts of his remarks, Trump claimed that significant political changes have already taken place in Iran. We have had regime change already. We're dealing with people that are much more rational, he said. These claims have not been independently verified, and analysts remain cautious about interpreting the current situation inside Iran. Recent assessments suggest that while internal dynamics may be shifting, powerful factions still retain influence. Nevertheless, Trump framed these developments as a major achievement of the ongoing military campaign. He also emphasized that the primary objective of the war, preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons, has been achieved. They will have no nuclear weapon. That goal has been attained, he said. He further suggested that military action was necessary to prevent an imminent threat. If we didn't knock him out with a B-2 bomber, we would have a nuclear weapon right now, he said. These statements reflect the administration's justification for the conflict, although independent verification of such claims remains limited. According to Trump, the military campaign has significantly weakened Iran's capabilities. They have no navy, they have no military, they have no air force, he said. However, experts caution that such assessments may be overstated as Iran continues to demonstrate the ability to launch attacks and maintain regional influence through allied groups. Despite the intensity of the conflict, there are signs that negotiations may be underway. Trump indicated that discussions with Iran are ongoing and that a deal could potentially be reached before the conflict fully concludes. At the same time, reports suggest that Iran may be open to de-escalation, although this has not been officially confirmed. The war has had significant global repercussions, particularly in energy markets. Oil prices surged following disruptions in the Strait of Hormuz, but have shown signs of stabilizing amid expectations of a potential resolution. Financial markets have also responded to indications that the conflict may soon end, reflecting cautious optimism. However, experts warn that the long-term consequences of the conflict could be substantial, especially if instability in the region persists. For Israel, the current situation represents a critical test of its military and strategic capabilities. The simultaneous threats from Hezbollah in the north and the Houthis in the south highlight the challenges of defending against multiple adversaries at once. While Israel has successfully intercepted incoming threats and maintained operational readiness, the sustained pressure raises questions about how long such a posture can be maintained. The downing of the Israeli drone further underscores the evolving nature of the conflict, where adversaries are increasingly capable of contesting Israeli dominance in key areas. As the war enters its next phase, several key questions remain unanswered. Will the United States follow through on its plans to withdraw within weeks? Can diplomatic efforts succeed in stabilizing global markets and securing critical trade routes? And most importantly, will the conflict de-escalate or expand even further? For now, the situation remains highly unpredictable. The region stands at a crossroads with the potential for either resolution or further escalation hanging in the balance.